So let me share my screen and then we can go ahead with the agenda for today. So as usual, before proceeding, I dedicate this session for the pleasure of my spiritual master and my spiritual grandfather, uh, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Whatever I am going to do, I will simply repeat what I have learned in the lectures of Srila Prabhupada. I'll simply repeat what I have read in the books of Srila Prabhupada. And I'll simply repeat what I have learned from my Siksha Gurus and the Guru Parampara of ISKCON. And this particular session, like and all the upcoming sessions, are basically dedicated to my spiritual master and Srila Prabhupada for their pleasure. So, moving on, agenda for today. Okay, so little bit of discussion I would like to do here. Like this is since this is the first session, I don't know like at what pace we will be proceeding. Okay, I have prepared a few PPTs so that the session doesn't become monotonous. If you read the Bhagavad Gita, you will hardly find any pictures in the book. Right. So after some time, what happens is that people start losing interest, and then the attendance dips, and some people try to avoid coming to the sessions and all those things. Even I actually, citing my own personal example, I first read the Bhagavad Gita way back in 2013. Now, before 2013, I had tried on several occasions, to read the Bhagavad Gita. It used to lie in front of me, at my home. I was in the college and I think high school back then, high school and college, and I just, picked it up, started a few slokas, and then, just I kept it aside. Okay, theek hai. I mean, it's okay. When I'll get some more time, I'll read. Now is not the right time, like that. But somehow, by Krishna's mercy, I read it fully in 2013, and then I had some more questions after reading, and again by Krishna's mercy, by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, uh, I came in contact with the ISKCON devotees, and under their guidance and instructions, I read the Bhagavad Gita. I understood it thoroughly, right? And uh, so this is how my journey was basically, right, regarding the Bhagavad Gita reading. So the whole point is that that inspiration to read the Bhagavad Gita doesn't come in all of us. Like most of us are very lazy, and after some time we just give up basically. So I don't want that to happen in this particular session. I see at least this particular group, like the people who are present right now in this meeting. I think they are the most sincere folks here, and I want all of you, each and every single one of you, to go till the end, till the last 18th chapter, and the last verse of 18th chapter. Okay, because it's not about just the certification; it's about understanding the nectar and the mellow of the Bhagavad Gita. What Bhagavad Gita has to offer, and it's a life-changing experience. Let me tell you, right? Because I was definitely not the same person, before I read the Bhagavad Gita and after reading the Bhagavad Gita. So we'll see that how to proceed. I have prepared a few PPTs. I've tried to make them interesting, and with some pictures here and there. And initially, like I said, I thought that okay, we'll try to go slow, maybe one or two to five slokas. So two slokas were just very less. So I thought, okay, let's go with five or six slokas, and then we can see that how to proceed after that. Some more time for question and answers. If we finish just on time, because it's definitely not going to exceed more than 1 hour, or even if it does, like it will be hardly maybe a few minutes over 1 hour. Okay, so that's fine. But just I want to get the depth, like how to proceed, how many shlokas are good or optimal, for these kind of sessions. So we'll perform some Mangala Charan, and yeah, one more thing that we won't read the purport line by line. Okay, only for a few verses where I think that okay, purport is important, we can read. Or some, if the purport is too long, then some very important extracts from the purports we will read. And I'll explain the shlokas on the way, so that because there are a lot of shlokas to cover, and we just want to finish it off in maybe I don't know 1.5 years, 2 years. I seriously don't know. Okay, so we will see how we proceed. And yes, we'll start with Mangalacharan to invoke some auspiciousness. I'll chant some pranam mantras. Those who know, please, you can repeat after me while staying on mute. And those who don't know, just try to listen to these mantras because listening is also very, very purifying. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरो वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः। नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं। परमानंद माधवम श्री चैतन्य ईश्वर। हरि ओम तत्सत्। Meenu Mataji has also joined us. That's nice.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Okay, so start reading then. And we'll assess that how much time it takes, and then accordingly we can increase or decrease the number of shlokas, okay, in the subsequent sessions. So let me see. We go alphabetically. So I think Sri Devi Mataji, you are the, I think, top in the alphabetical order today. So will you be able to read the shloka, or maybe you can try? I will read again after you, and then we will go with the translation, okay, and the explanation. Sri Devi Mataji.
I can go,
Okay.
Prabhuji, if you don't mind.
Yes, Mataji, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Yeah. धृतराष्ट्र उच्चाव धर्म क्षेत्र कुरुक्षेत्र समवेदा युयुत्सव ममा का पांडवाशैत्व किम कुर्वत सज्जव।
Sanjaya. Oh,
Sanjaya.
I'll repeat again. धृतराष्ट्र उवाच धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे समवेतायुयुत्सवः मामकः पाण्डवाश्चैव किं कुर्वत संजय. Okay, so the translation. Yeah, you can read the translation also, Mataji.
Okay. Dhritarashtra said, O Sanjaya, after my sons and the son of Pandu assembled in a place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do?
Okay. So we'll not go in the purport right away. Some explanations are there. So first thing we need to understand, that whenever we are reading some Vedic scriptures, almost all of them are written in Sanskrit. And Sanskrit is a beautiful language, actually. No, I think it's the mother of all languages. And the most, striking aspect of Sanskrit is that you can create some beautiful music, out of the words which are there. And that is how all the Vedas have been written. They have been written in a very poetic way, and there is a certain meter or a like a musical note associated with each of the shlokas, as you can see, like when we are reciting the shlokas. Okay, that is one thing. Second most important thing is that a lot of information can be concealed just within a few lines, right? Like from the top, if you read, say for example, this particular verse, okay, like here, what is the meaning of this verse? Okay, Dhritarashtra said, "O Sanjaya, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled in the pilgrimage, in the place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra, deciding to fight, what did they do?" So now any mundane person can simply read it, as it is. ठीक है, like okay, it's a question which is being put forward by Dhritarashtra to Sanjay. So what's the big deal? Let me move on to the next shloka or next verse. Okay, but it's not like that. Okay, whenever it comes to the Vedic scriptures, there are a lot of hidden meanings and a lot of things that can be analyzed in the verse, in maybe one or two lines of a verse. Okay, so and that art of reading between the lines, like we simply cannot have. We are just not qualified to have that art. Okay, so the only thing that we can do is to read and understand all any of the Vedic scriptures by a bona fide person who is coming in the Guru Shishya Parampara. Okay, so in ISKCON, like we have a very strong Guru Shishya Parampara, and this was founded by none other than our founder Acharya A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Sri Srila Prabhupada, who has translated so many Vedic scriptures. Like he has given us the Bhagavad Gita, he has given us the Srimad Bhagavatam, he has given us the Brahma Samhita, Chaitanya Charitamrita. I mean, so many of them. Okay, like he has translated Nectar of Devotion. Okay, so had he not been there, it would have been impossible for all of us to read it and to understand it, right? So it's important that we analyze each and every verse and try to understand the in-depth meaning of these verses. Okay, so and this particular verse is very in a sense very humorous also, right? It's like such an obvious question Dhritarashtra is asking, that when my sons and sons of Pandu assembled in a place of pilgrimage, Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do? Now when two parties are on a battlefield, with a desire to fight, what will they will fight, obviously. So what is so big deal about this particular verse? Okay, so if you try to understand this, Sanjay, first of all, he was the secretary of Dhritarashtra. Okay, and actually Bhagavad Gita has 700 shlokas. Okay, and obviously the main character is Sri Krishna, who has given us the Bhagavad Gita. The next important character in the entire Bhagavad Gita is Arjun, who is asking certain questions, who is basically having a conversation with Sri Krishna. Okay, and this is how Bhagavad Gita proceeds. And then there is third personality called Sanjay. Now this Sanjay is the secretary of Dhritarashtra, and he was a disciple of Vyasdev. Okay, and by Vyasdev's mercy, he had a benediction. What was that benediction? That he had been given a spiritual vision, a kind of a spiritual television, from where he was sitting in the palace of Hastinapur along with Dhritarashtra, and he was able to see the live telecast of what was going on in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So that is the reason why Dhritarashtra is asking this question to Sanjay. And out of 700 shlokas, only one shloka, that is this particular shloka, has been spoken by Dhritarashtra, who was the king of, or the caretaker king of Hastinapur, and he was the basically father of all the Kauravas. Kauravas were headed by Duryodhana. So this all actually the reason why now we will try to understand why Dhritarashtra is asking such an obvious question. What was going inside his mind, basically? Excuse me. Give me a second. So we'll try to understand what was going in the mind of Dhritarashtra, why he is asking such an obvious question. So the reason why he is asking such an obvious question is, first of all, because of a desire. Okay. Now Dhritarashtra had a desire that his sons basically defeat the Pandavas in the battlefield, in the battle of Kurukshetra, and they become the owners of the throne of Hastinapur. Okay, this was his inherent desire, because uh, Dhritarashtra was the elder son, and because he was blind, he was not qualified to become the king. So when the time of coronation, at the time of coronation, what happened? That the kingdom was handed over to his younger brother, whose name was Pandu, basically. So since then, Dhritarashtra was not very happy. Okay, and unfortunately, Pandu died at a young age, so he was, made an ad hoc king or the caretaker king of Hastinapur. And once he was the king, he became the king. He didn't want to let go of the throne, basically. Okay, he wanted his sons to continue the legacy, basically, and he didn't want, the sons of Pandavas to take over the kingdom again. And then we all know that how these, this, like all the incidents, they progressed, and then ultimately, both the parties are standing on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, right? So first reason was the desire of Dhritarashtra that he didn't want Pandavas to take over the kingdom, and second, he was already fearful. So let me share the PPT now, and then we can proceed from there. So he was fearful already, like he was doubtful about the victory of his, sons, basically, right? And what was the reason? So just see what he's using word here: Dharma Kshetre, Kurukshetra. That means Dharma Kshetra, right? What is the meaning of Dharma Kshetra? That means a place of pilgrimage or a place where religious rituals are performed. Okay, so now Dhritarashtra was doubtful, or he was apprehensive of one fact, that since this is a place of pilgrimage or an auspicious place, so it will influence the Pandavas, who were also very pious people, positively. Okay, the place will try to actually influence or favor the Pandavas. So that was first reason. And second, Krishna was also there in the battlefield alongside Pandavas. He had become the charioteer of Arjuna, right? So when the father of all religion, right, is present and along with one particular party, obviously that apprehension will be there in the mind of Dhritarashtra that okay, Krishna is there, the holy place is there, which is and it can play as a home ground for all the Pandavas, basically, right? So that was another reason. Third reason, that he was also worried that this pious place or this Dharma Kshetra will also influence the Kauravas in a certain way. How? That Kauravas might give up their animosity towards Pandavas, and they might just surrender the kingdom to Pandavas. Okay. Now this Dhritarashtra never wanted to happen. He wanted the battle to take place. He wanted the fight to take place, and he wanted that his sons should emerge victorious and take over the throne of Hastinapur. So these are the three reasons why Dhritarashtra was fearful. Fourth reason, he was hopeful for the first time. Like if you set aside all the fear, then there was one hope that Dhritarashtra was having, that just because of the influence of this Dharmakshetra, the Pandavas may give up the desire to fight, right? Because Pandavas were very pious people, and they might give up the desire to avoid the bloodshed, and because ultimately they will be killing their own family members, right? So all these things were going on in the mind of Dhritarashtra. And after thinking all these things, he just puts forward this question to Sanjay, that oh Sanjaya, when my sons and the sons of Pandu, they met on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, which was a Dharma Kshetra to fight, what did they do? Okay. Now another thing that we have to see is the duplicit nature of Dhritarashtra. Okay, so it is said that Dhritarashtra was blind before he, heard the Bhagavad Gita from Krishna, and he remained blind after reading the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so that is the reason why in the introduction section we have been saying over and over again that in order to understand the Bhagavad Gita, you have to be a devotee of Krishna. Okay, you cannot have a material mindset. You cannot have a speculative mindset. You cannot have a challenging mindset. And then if you try to read the Bhagavad Gita, it will always be a secret. It will always be a rahasya for that particular person. Okay, rahasyam hetad uttamam. So Dhritarashtra actually never understood, the Bhagavad Gita as a devotee of Krishna, and that's why he remained blind even after hearing the Bhagavad Gita. Okay? So why? Because he had a duplicit nature. Okay, you see, he is saying Mamaka Pandavas Sheva. Mamaka means my sons, and Pandavas Ch1 means Pandava's sons. That means he is discriminating between his own sons and Pandava's sons, right? Ideally, he, as a king, he should not be doing that. Okay, as a king, if you see that since Dhritarashtra was the king, then both Pandavas and Kauravas, they belong to the same dynasty called the Kuru dynasty. Okay, so he was here deviating from his responsibilities of a king, and he was letting his emotions and sentiments of a father to take over, right? And that's why he was discriminating between his own sons and the sons of Pandu, or his nephews, basically. Okay, so this is the duplicity of Dhritarashtra, and at any cost, he did not want this kingdom to be given away to the Pandavas, and he wanted his sons to rule the Hastinapur. Okay, going forward. So this is a basically kind of explanation for the first verse. Okay, we'll move on to the next
Sorry,
verse.
Prabhuji, I would
I
like to interrupt. So, what is duplicity? Is it
Yes,
biasness?
please. Yes, biasness. That means
Okay.
he had two natures. That on top he was portraying as a king of Hastinapur, but in the heart he was actually favoring his own sons, basically. So that is the duplicit nature.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So yeah, and any questions which are related to this particular verse or any verse going forward, I would request all the participants to please note them down. We will have a dedicated question and answer session after this particular, after we are done with the 5 or 6 verses, I guess. Okay. So let's go to the next verse. Okay, and yeah, one more thing, that I would like to cite here. One very nice analogy Prabhupada is giving in the purport. Just see here. Such nicely he has written. As in the paddy field, the unnecessary plants are taken out. So it is expected from the very beginning of these topics that in the religious field of Kurukshetra, where the father of religion Sri Krishna was present, unwanted plants like Dhritarashtra's son, Duryodhan, and others would be wiped out, and thoroughly religious persons headed by Yudhishthir would be established by the Lord. This is the significance of the word Dharmakshetre, Kurukshetre, apart from their historical and Vedic importance. Such nice analogy Prabhupada gives. So we will actually go on reading the analogies if there are any in the purports, okay? Because it's very nice to understand. Okay, so second sloka, who wants to go next? Shweta Mataji, will you be able to read?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, please go ahead. Hare Krishna.
Sanjay uvacha दृष्ट्वा तु पाण्डवानीकं व्यूढं दुर्योधनस्तथा आचार्यम् उपसंगम्य राजा वचनमब्रवीत्. Can you bring the screen up, Prabhu?
Thank you so much, Mataji. That was nicely done. Yeah, sure. So the translation. Just read the translation.
Yeah, a little bit up, Prabhu. Yeah, now it is fine. Translation. Sanjaya said, O king, after looking over the army arranged in military formation by the sons of Pandu, King Duryodhana went to his teacher and spoke the following words. Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Mataji. So this verse is also again, similar to the first verse that, okay, nothing, apparently there is nothing special. Like, okay, like Duryodhana saw the opponent's army and then he just went up to his teacher and spoke the following words. Fine, what did he speak? That we'll see in the next verse, okay? But then again, if we analyze this, it has a very, a few more deeper meanings can be, analyzed from this particular verse as well, okay? First thing, Drishtva tu Pandava Nikam. That means after seeing the Pandava Anika means army. So after seeing Pandava's army, Vyudham means arranged in a vyuha or a military phalanx. Okay. Who saw this? Duryodhanas Tada. Okay. What did he do after that? Acharyam Upsangamya. That means he went up to his teacher or Acharya. Okay. And Raja means Duryodhan is being referred to as Raja. Vachanam Abravi. What did he do? He spoke to who? Dronacharya. Right? So, couple of things, important things that we have to see here. Okay, first of all, sorry. Yes. So first of all, when this battle of Kurukshetra was about to start, okay, both Pandavas and Kauravas were trying their level best to basically what had happened that this was not an ordinary war. Okay, in those times, like all the yugas prior to Kali Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Treta Yuga, or Satyug, there used to be only one king in the entire world. Okay, obviously there were small provinces, like small countries were there, but generally what happened that all the kings of the different countries, they reported to one particular authority. Okay, and that particular king was known as the Chakravarti Samrat. Okay, like that. So that was the rule of law at that time. Okay. So when this Battle of Kurukshetra was about to start, and Hastinapur was the capital of the entire world at that time. Okay, this Kurukshetra battle was about to start. Then both Kauravas and Pandavas, they were trying their level best to bring some kings from all over the world to their party basically and to fight for them. And most of them actually turned out in the support of Kauravas only. Okay, because Dhritarashtra was the ruler, and there were so many reasons, and we'll see how Duryodhan was also a very expert politician actually. So he was able to bring a lot of kings, on his side basically. But Pandavas also had gathered a significant amount of army. Okay, and when that army was standing in front of the armies of Kauravas, and when Duryodhan had a look at that, he was scared. Okay, he did not expect Pandavas who had been like he tried to kill them in the Lakshagrat, and then he defeated them in the game of dice. Okay, they were sent to Agyatwas and Vanvas for 13 years. Okay, so 12 years of Vanvas and 1 year of Agyatwas. So 13 years, like, they were away. And Duryodhan was not expecting them to, amass such a huge army and then, stand in front of them as, formidable opponents, formidable foes. Okay. So that was the reason why he became a little scared. And, but as I said, that he was an expert politician. So he just, what to say, he portrayed that he is approaching Dronacharya out of respect because he was a teacher, but actually he was approaching him out of fear. Okay. And there are other things also. Okay. So another important aspect in this particular verse is that Duryodhan is being referred to as Raja. Okay. Now, this is a very, a unique thing. Like the battle has not even started and no one has won the kingdom. Still, how come Duryodhan can be referred to as Raja, right? How can he be referred to as king? So this Raja, basically Sanjay is referring to Duryodhan with the term Raja because he, as I said, he was expert in politics, okay, in the Rajniti. So from that word, he is actually taking out this word Raja because Duryodhan was, he knew exactly whom to approach and when to approach and what to speak, if he is approaching one particular person. Okay, that he generally used to talk in the same language that the other person understood, basically. And that is the reason why he was able to, bring so many kings in his favor. But, this is the reason why he is being referred to as Raja. This is one thing. Okay. Second is that why did he only approach Dronacharya? There were so many other stalwarts in his army, right? Bhishma Pitama was there. His own brothers were there. Karna was there. But he did not go to any one of these. He just went to Dronacharya. Why? So the reason what our acharyas say is that Duryodhan was apprehensive. He was doubtful actually in his mind. Why? Why was he doubtful? Because Dronacharya was the common teacher of both Pandavas and the Kauravas. Okay, and obviously, it's needless to say, you all must be knowing that his favorite student was who? Dronacharya's favorite student? Any guesses?
Arjun.
Yes, Arjun. So Arjun was there, and in general, he liked all the Pandavas because Pandavas were generally righteous people. They were pious people, and Yudhishthir especially, like he was very Nyaya Priya, basically, right? That's why he was known as Dharmaraj. Okay, so uh, and generally, like, yeah, he had a soft corner for the Pandavas, but then out of so many, strategic and political reasons, like he was fighting from on the side of Duryodhana. Okay, so Duryodhana was doubtful, okay, that once the battle starts, this person may not give his 100% on the battlefield, or he may not even fight, this battle altogether. Just before the battle starts, he may just give up his idea of fighting, right? So he was worried about all these things, and he didn't want this to happen because he was a very, very formidable archer and a very nice, nicely trained in military arts. Although he was a Brahmana, but he was still, very nicely trained in military arts, and he himself had trained both Pandavas and Kauravas, right? So Duryodhan didn't want to lose Dronacharya under any circumstances. So, but he had this doubt that whether he will support fully or not, whether he will fight to his full capability or not. So, all these things were going on the minds of Duryodhan, and just he approached, and then he started speaking to Dronacharya. Okay, so we will just read the purport. This is a small purport. So just let's see what Srila Prabhupada is trying to explain here. Yes, Shweta Mataji, you can continue the purport.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, Prabhu. Dhritarashtra was blind from birth. Unfortunately, he was also bereft of spiritual vision. He knew very well that his sons were equally blind in the matter of religion, and he was sure that they could never reach an understanding with the Pandavas, who were all pious since birth. Still, he was doubtful about the influence of the place of pilgrimage, and Sanjaya could understand his motive in asking about the situation on the battlefield. Sanjaya wanted, therefore, to encourage the despondent king and thus assured him that his sons were not going to make any sort of compromise under the influence of the holy place. Sanjaya therefore informed the king that his son Duryodhana, after seeing the military force of the Pandavas, at once went to the commander in chief Dronacharya to inform him of the real position. Although Duryodhana is mentioned as the king, he still had to go to the commander on account of the seriousness of the situation. He was therefore quite fit to be a politician, but Duryodhana's diplomatic veneer could not disguise the fear he felt when he saw the military arrangement
Of the
of
Pandavas.
the Pandavas.
So
Yeah.
the main reason why he approached Dronacharya was out of fear. When he was not expecting actually that Pandavas would amass such a huge army, and Krishna was also there, on their side. Although Krishna had taken a vow that he will not, like use any weapons during the war, and he will not stand by the side of any party. He will remain neutral, but still, like he chose to be the charioteer of Arjun. So that was also playing, on the minds of Duryodhana. Yeah. Okay, so we'll move to the next verse. Who wants to go next?
Prabhuji, can I read?
Yes, Ivanamata, please go ahead.
पाश्चातं पाण्डुपुत्रम् आचार्यमहितं कवम् युद्धं द्रुपदपुत्रेण तव शिष्येण धीमता.
I'll repeat this verse once again. Pashyetam Panduputranam Acharya Mahatim Chamu Vyudham Drupadaputrena Tav Shishyena Dhimata. Okay, you can go with the translation.
Yes, Prabhuji. O my teacher, behold the great army of the sons of the Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupada.
Yeah. So this is a very interesting verse, and another small story I will also like to say here. Now, just see how diplomatic and how politically correct Duryodhan was. Okay, as I said, that he know whom to approach, when to approach, and what to speak. When he has approached someone. Okay, so we have seen in the last verse that Duryodhan, like after seeing the army of Pandavas, he actually goes to his teacher Dronacharya and says something. So he says that, okay, oh my teacher, behold the great army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupad. Okay. Now this personality Drupad is a very important thing, right? Like Duryodhan is actually using Drupad as a tool to incite anger, within Dronacharya, right? Because as I said earlier, that he was apprehensive in the beginning, that Dronacharya may not fight because of the soft corner that he had for the Pandavas. Okay, either he may not fight to the best of his capability, or he may not fight at all. He may give up fighting, even before the battle started. Okay? So these things are going in the mind of Duryodhana, and so he is now trying to incite anger. Okay, now this Drupad and Dronacharya, they had a history. Okay, I'm pretty sure some of you must be knowing this already, but I would like to repeat for those at least who don't know. Okay, so this Drupad was a king basically, and when we'll go to the childhood days of Drupad and Dronacharya. So they were both, studying in the same Gurukul. Okay, same Gurukul they were studying, and they were very best of friends actually. Okay, they always, remained together. And out of that friendship, that childhood friendship, Drupad once said that once I am coronated as the king of my kingdom, I will give you half of my kingdom. Okay. So he made a promise to Dronacharya. So time passed, and they all grew up. They both got married. Drupad also got married, and he was coronated as the king. And Dronacharya also married, and he had a son, basically. Okay? And one day, when Dronacharya was in his, what to say, ashram, basically, and at that time, he found his son crying for milk, actually. And since he was a poor Brahman, he was not able to afford the milk at that time. So at that time, he was reminded of Drupad's promise, actually. Okay? And he just thought that, okay, Drupad had promised me that he will give me half of the kingdom. So what will I do with the half of the kingdom? Let me just go to him and ask for a cow, basically, so that, at least the needs of my family are met. Anyways, I'm a Brahmana. What will I do with the half of kingdom? I don't need that much. So thinking this, he actually went to Drupad, and he addressed him, "Oh dear friend, how are you?" Like that. So to this, Drupad very surprisingly replied that friendship is, between the equals. And I'm a king and you are just a poor Brahmana. How can you even think that I'm your friend? So just get lost from here. And like this, he humiliated Dronacharya in front of the whole courtroom. And like he came back, Dronacharya, but he had felt very bad. Okay. So once uh, all the military training had been given to the Pandavas were all grown up. Pandavas and Kauravas, they were both grown up. Then, as Guru Dakshina, Dronacharya asked that you bring Drupad to me, actually. You just make him a prisoner and bring them to me. Okay. So Duryodhan first stepped forward that, okay, I'll do this for you. And, as usual. And then he, along with his brothers, he went to fight Drupad. And they were very, badly defeated by Drupad, actually. Okay. And they were just, they fled from the battlefield. So when they came back, then the Pandavas said that, okay, let me go. Especially Arjuna came forward and he said that, okay, we will go now and we will bring him. And very nicely and tactfully, they actually, participated in a battle and they defeated Drupad in the battle. And not only that, they just tied Drupad, by ropes, and then they just tied him like an animal, and then they threw him on the feet of Dronacharya. Okay. And then Dronacharya said that, okay, now at that time I had just came for a cow. Now I want half of your kingdom. And he forcibly took half of the kingdom from Drupad. Okay. So this was one part of the story. Okay. So now, since Drupad was defeated, now he being a Kshatriya, like he's obviously not going to be, he is not going to remain quiet. Okay. So he conducted a yagya. And the only purpose of that yagya was to get a son who can kill Dronacharya. And outcome of that yagya was that he got a son and a daughter. The daughter's name was Draupadi, and the son's name was Drishtadyumna. Okay, so the reason why I told you this story is that just see Duryodhan's what to say, masterful tactics or politics. How he actually plays. He is now deliberately referring, taking the name of Drupad, right? So that Dronacharya is reminded of his animosity with Drupad, and he is able to incite some anger, in Dronacharya, so that he doesn't give up his idea of fighting, or he doesn't give up his slackness, to fight the Pandavas, basically, right? So this is the kind of politician Duryodhana was. Okay, so this is the reason why he is saying the son of Drupad, deliberately mentioning Drupad's name, okay, just to incite some anger in Dronacharya. So this is the whole purport of, not the whole purport, basically this was one of the things. We can just read the purport because this is also very small. Ivana Mataji can continue, just finish off this purport as well.
Okay, Prabhuji. Duryodhana, a great diplomat, wanted to point out the defects of Dronacharya, the great Brahmana commander-in-chief. Dronacharya had some political quarrel with King Drupad, the father of Draupadi, who was Arjuna's wife. As a result of this quarrel, Drupad had performed a great sacrifice, by which he received the benediction of having a son, who would be able to kill Dronacharya. Dronacharya knew this perfectly well. And yet, as a liberal Brahmana, he did not hesitate to impart all his military secrets when the son of Drupad, Drishtadyumna, was entrusted to him for military education. Now, on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Drishtadyumna took the side of the Pandavas, and it was he who arranged for the military flanks after having learned the art from Dronacharya. Duryodhana pointed out this mistake of Dronacharya, so that he might be alert and uncompromising in fighting. By this, he wanted to point out also that he should not be lenient in battle against the Pandavas, who were also Dronacharya's affectionate students. Arjuna especially was his most affectionate and brilliant student. Duryodhana also warned that such leniency in the fight would lead to defeat.
Yes. Basically, he is just trying to indirectly point to Dronacharya that, okay, look, you made a mistake by training the son of Drupad. Now, this is another aspect of a glorious aspect of our Vedic culture. Okay, when Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, "Karm karo or phal ki chinta mat karo," right? Like, just give up. You have the right to do your duty. Karmanye vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. But the right to the results are not in your hands. Okay, so this is the classic example of how to work. So that just focus on your duty, on your responsibility. Now, Dronacharya, right from the time when this Drupad's son appeared, okay, Drishtadyumna appeared, he knew that this fellow is going to kill me. But still, when like Drishtadyumna came to Dronacharya to learn the military arts from him, he did not back off at that point of time. He could have easily declined, because out of fear of his life. But then Dronacharya, being a liberal Brahmana, and this is how Brahmana used to be, at that time, right? He just simply what he does, he agrees to train Drupad, and he did not discriminate between Pandavas, Kauravas, and Drupad. Whatever he taught to Pandavas and Kauravas, he also taught the same thing to Drupad, right? He did not hide any form of military art from him, in spite of knowing the fact that one day this boy is going to kill me. Okay, so this is a classic example of how you do not focus on the results, but just focus on your duty. Okay, and Dronacharya has set that example, by doing that. And a nice analogy, which our acharyas, give, is that of the sun rays and the Brahmana. Okay, in a Brahman, how they worked actually previously. So as the sun rays, what happens? Sun rays does not discriminate, to throw the sunlight on the house of a pious person and on the house of a thief. Okay, sunlight is equally distributed in all the households, basically, right? Similarly, the Brahmanas also, at least in Dwapar, till Dwapar Yuga, they were so liberal that they did not discriminate between who was who was worthy, who was not worthy. They just imparted all the knowledge to them. Although some sort of corruption had already started in Dwapar Yuga, and in Kali Yuga, I don't even want to talk about that, because no one is a Brahman in Kali Yuga. Everyone is a Shudra, basically, right? Kalo Shudra Sambhava. Everyone is a Shudra in Kali Yuga. But yeah, in previous Yugas, Brahmins were so liberal. Okay, they did not discriminate between, like, whoever came for their help, they just used to offer their help to them. Okay. Fourth verse. Vasavi Mataji, would you like to read?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Okay. So your
Here,
voice was very
this
yeah, your voice was very feeble. I will just repeat the verse once again. अत्र शूरा महेश्वासा भीमार्जुन समायुधि युयुधानो विराटश्च द्रुपदश्च महारथः. So yeah, you can read the translation.
Here in this army are many heroic bowmen equal in fighting to Bhima and Arjuna. Great fighters like Yuyudhana, Virata, and Drupada.
Yeah. So Duryodhana is he speaks further, naming some new personalities here. Like he knew that okay, Bhim and Arjun are definitely two stalwarts in the Pandavas army, and then Yuyudhana, Virata, and Drupada. Okay, again he's taking the name of Draupad. No, Drupad himself. Okay, that why? So that he can incite that anger, within Dronacharya. Now, another important thing, we'll share the PPT and we'll see. Fourth one, right. So again, Drupad's name is taken repeatedly. That is again to incite the anger in Dronacharya. Then second, Duryodhana is fully aware of the powers of Arjuna and Bhima. So obviously he is saying, that taking the names of Arjuna and Bhima, and then he's saying again that all the other names that he took, okay, they are also equally heroic, right? For example, fighters like Yudhana, Virat, and Drupad. Okay, but inherently, deep down, he knows that okay, I mean, this is not just Arjun. Like it's not just like he. I mean, what to say? Just to give a comparative account, he's saying, but deep down, he knew that Arjun and Bhim, they are the most powerful people in the army of the Pandavas. Okay, why? Because speciality of Arjun, we'll discuss some things about him that we all know. In the I think in the last session or last to last session, I just told you about Arjuna's speciality, right? Like he equaled Lord Shiva in a battle, and Lord Shiva gave him the Pashupatastra. Then he defeated Indra in a battle, and then Indra invited him specially to Swargaloka, and then he gave him lot of celestial weapons, okay, Divyastra, and then he also taught him how to use it, right? And Duryodhan was fully aware of Arjuna's capabilities, and he also knew that those celestial weapons will also come into play, once the battle starts. So again, he was afraid of that. But again, some most important thing here is he takes the name of Bhim first, before Arjun actually. Okay, so why is that so? Although if you do a comparative account, yes, Bhim was very strong. I mean, everyone knows that. But then if you compare the achievements of Bhim to Arjun's, I mean, Arjuna's achievements were, extraordinary at that time, right? He was Dwapar Yuga's best archer. And then the kind of celestial weapons that he was possessing, and that cannot be described in words, basically, right? So, and we have also seen that how much control he had, on his mind. Uh, in the further verses, we would also read that he had conquered sleep, Arjun. So that was the level of his control over his own mind, right? So, but still, Duryodhan is actually, putting Bhima above Arjun. Why that question is there? Okay. So the reason why is that Duryodhana knew that if there is one person in Pandava's army who can actually kill him, it was Bhima, right? Because one, he was very strong, and Duryodhana was also very physically strong, mind you. Like they both were like very very strong warriors, and in terms of physical strength, yes, Duryodhana knew that Bhima was the only person who could surpass him, and he may even kill him. And of this he was always fearful, okay, that Bhima was always. And also at the time of this whole the dice game which was happening, okay, uh, uh, the Draupadi Vastraharan and all those things. A lot of things actually happened at that time, and Bhim was very, very angry, and he took three vows basically. Okay, so first vow during so the reason why this all happened was during the game of dice. When like Kauravas, they had actually surpassed all the limits, and they had degraded themselves to such an extent that no one was able to say anything, right? And in front of all the big what to say the seniors of Hastinapur, Dhritarashtra was there, Bhishma Pitama was there, his own teacher Dronacharya was there, Kripacharya was there. Still, Duryodhan actually did committed that heinous act and ordered his brother Dushasan to disrobe Draupadi in front of the whole courtroom of Hastinapur. So when this all things took place, Bhim was, I mean, needless to say, he was extremely infuriated. Okay, he wanted to rip apart Duryodhan then and there. Okay, but he was stopped by Yudhishthir because that was against the dharma or against the religion at that time. So, and then after that, Pandavas were sent to the forest as Vanvas, and then they remained in Agyatwas for another year. So 13 years, this anger was boiling, within him, and he was just, ready to let loose his anger on each and every person in the Kauravas army. Okay, and Duryodhan was fully aware of this, and he was very afraid of Bhima. Okay, so that is one of the reasons why he is putting Bhima before Arjun. And when this Draupadi's Chirharan actually happened at that time, so Bhima actually took three vows. Okay, first vow he took was that he will kill all the sons of Dhritarashtra, all the 100 sons of Dhritarashtra he will kill. And the interesting thing is to aid to this vow that he had taken. Whenever in the Battle of Kurukshetra, whenever the Pandavas used to capture one son of Dhritarashtra, one Kaurava, they would not kill him. They would bring him to Bhim, or Bhim would come there and then he would kill him. Okay, so that his vow was taken care of. And then second vow, which and he actually did that. Bhim actually killed all the sons of Dhritarashtra. Okay, so that was first vow. Second vow was that he had taken a vow to break the thigh of Duryodhan. Why? Because during the Vastraharan, when that was going on, Duryodhan had uncovered his thigh and he had kind of gestured towards Draupadi, like tapping on his thigh and just asking her to come and sit on his lap, basically, because she was meant for his enjoyment. This kind of statement he had made in the courtroom of Hastinapur. And at that time, Bhim had completely lost it. He was super angry at that time. Okay, so at that time, he took a vow that he will break the thigh of Duryodhan. Third vow, which he had taken, and we saw eventually he did that, right? Towards the end of Mahabharata. And third vow which he had taken was to rip apart the chest of Dushasana, take the blood and drink his blood from the chest. And also he wanted to rip apart the hands of Dushasana from his body. So that, why? Because Dushasan used his hands to, like open the nicely tied and sanctified hair of Draupadi, and he also used his hands to drag Draupadi, to the courtroom by her hair, actually. Okay? So this was the third vow which he had taken, and he also completed that. Okay, he ripped apart the chest of Dushasan, and this is how Dushasan died, actually. And then Draupadi also, she was also not holding back. Actually, she knew that okay, she cannot directly participate in the battle and fight the Kauravas. But yes, what vow did she take? As a Kshatriya lady, she said that okay, since Dushasan has opened my hair, I am not going to tie my hair until and unless I bathe my hair from the in the blood of Dushasan. So just see, like, that Kshatriya blood was there in her also. And actually, when Bhim killed Dushasan, he brought a handful of Dushasan's blood to Draupadi. She poured it on her, hair, and then she started tying her hair. So this is the Kshatriya spirit. I mean, interesting to hear, but very difficult to understand. So these are some of the important points from this particular purport, this particular verse, actually. Okay, so which brings us to the last two verses. Fifth and sixth we'll read together, and then we will see what can be explained here. These are simple ones. Not much explanation is there. So after this, we'll conclude and we'll open the floor for question and answers. Who wants to go next? Vedant Prabhu, would you like to read? Or Usha Mataji? Usha Mataji has turned on her video. Okay, Mataji, you are speaking on mute.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yep.
Can I read?
Yeah, you can read the fifth verse and Vedant Prabhu can read the sixth verse. Okay.
Yeah. दृष्टकेतु च केतिनाः काशीराजश्च वीर्यवान् पुरुजित्कुन्तिभोजश्च शैबश्च नरपुङ्गवः.
You can read the translation also, Mataji.
There are also great heroic powerful fighters like Drishtaketu, Chekitana, Kashiraja,
Chekitan,
Purujit, Chekitana, Kashiraja, Purujit, Bhoja, Shaibya.
Kunti Bhoj and Shabda. Shabda. Okay. So this is for one, and then Vedant Prabhu, you can read the sixth one.
Yes, Prabhuji. युद्धमन्युश्च च विक्रन्त उत्तम औजश्च वीर्यवान् सौभद्रो द्रौपद्यश्च च सर्व एव महारथा.
Okay. I'll just repeat once again. युधामन्युश्च विक्रान्त उत्तमौजाश्च वीर्यवान् सौभद्रो द्रौपदेयाश्च सर्व एव महारथा. So basically, what Duryodhan is doing is he's pointing out to all the stalwarts in the Pandavas army. Okay, so yeah, you can read the translation, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji. There are the mighty Yuddhamanyu, the very powerful Uttam Aja, the son of Subhadra and the sons of Draupadi. All these warriors are great chariot fighters.
So nothing much to describe here, but about the chariot fighters, I would like to give you some concept on that. So about the chariot fighters or the Rathis, okay, Maharathis, and so there are a few concepts. So first is the Maharatha. This is very common term that we use. "अरे, वो तो बहुत बड़ा महारथी है," like that. So, but what is the meaning of Maharathi? Okay, or Maharatha. So these are basically the titles given to the warriors or the soldiers, on account of their bravery and their capability to handle the number of opponents on a battlefield. Okay. So Maharatha is a person who can single-handedly, alone, basically fight 10,000 opponents at the same time. Okay. So that person is known as Maharatha. Similarly, there is a title called as Atiratha. Arjun and Bhishma, they belong to this category. And Atirathas, they is a person who alone or single-handedly can fight 60,000 opponents at the same time. Okay? Similarly, Ratha is someone that who cannot fight multiple opponents at the same time. He is just engaged in one-to-one battle, okay, one-on-one battle with one opponent, basically, And Ardharatha means such warriors, they cannot fight alone, like by themselves. They need some support and assistance from others to fight, basically. So these are the titles of the charioteers, which has been given here. And then just to convince Drona to give up all his slackness and sentiment towards his opponents, what Duryodhan is doing in these two verses, he is just showing the names, he's just counting the names of all the stalwarts which are there in the army of Pandavas. Okay. And just indirectly, he's just trying to convey a message to Dronacharya that if by any chance you have any sentiment or any soft corner towards Pandavas, give that up, because they are going to kill you. Okay, if you show some slackness, any form of slackness, in the fight. So this is all about like five or six verses we completed, but then fifth and sixth verse were not very big ones, so we would take it as 5 verses, and we are just on time. So I think 5 verses are good enough, for every session. So we'll stick to this until unless we come to a point where we are going a little too fast. And yeah, so now what I'm going to do is that I can just stop sharing and I can open the floor for questions. Pardon me. Yes.
So, Prabhuji, my first question is like examples of Maharatha, like who all were the Maharathas in the battle?
Yeah, I think it has been mentioned. Drupad was one. Let me check one second. On the first, uh, in the fifth verse, what Duryodhana is mentioning, Drishtaketu, Ikiten, Kashi Raj, all these were, like fifth and sixth verse, most of them were Maharathis. Atiratha is a very high, like title. Until unless, one is capable of fighting 60,000 opponents, that is a big number, right? You are just on one chariot and 60,000 people attacking you at the same time, and you are able to handle them. So only Bhishma and Arjun, they basically qualified. All the others, like even Duryodhan and other people, were Maharathis only. I mean, Atiratha was just Arjun, and Karna may be considered, maybe he might be considered as an Atiratha, but since it has not been mentioned, so I don't know basically. But most of them were Maharathis only. Any other questions or any other realizations? Is this the way you are liking these sessions, like in this way, or do you have any other suggestions? I mean, I'm open to anything. Yeah. Because your feedback is important. Otherwise, I will not understand whether I am going in the right direction or not.
No, yes, Prabhuji, the session is very good. We are able to understand. Otherwise, whenever I used to open Bhagavad Gita, I used to read and then I used to get lost and then close the book.
Yeah, that actually happened to me as well. So just by creating some colorful slides with some pictures, I have just tried to make it a little more interesting with some stories in between. As and when I'll come across them, I'll try to share. Like the story of Drupad and Dronacharya, I told the vows which Bhim had taken, Draupadi had taken. Those kind of, yeah. Others, if you have any questions, any realizations, any thoughts,
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for the nectarian lecture. Prabhuji, can we get the PPT of the first chapter after the completion?
Yes, I will share it with all of you. Like maybe, yeah, I'll share it as maybe a private playlist. Okay, and only those people who are attending these sessions can have the access to that particular those PPTs.
Okay,
Can do
Prabhuji,
that.
thank you so much, Prabhuji. And Prabhuji, want to highlight was the short
Hare-
stories which you mentioned in between the verses. Like
Yeah,
it's make the session very much interesting. So thank you
yeah,
so much for that.
Hare,
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare. I think someone else was also speaking.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu. This is Shweta actually. Prabhu, just one concern from one request from my end actually. Uh, Please forgive me if it is offensive. Actually, what I feel better is if you are repeating the sloka. If you are reciting the sloka, and it is good for us to repeat after you, Prabhu, because
Okay.
we all are
Okay.
new,
Yeah,
and
absolutely. No, that's a wonderful idea, Mataji. I think I should have thought about it in the first place. Thank you so much for bringing this up. From next session onwards, we'll follow this pattern. Okay, I'll read the shloka and someone will repeat. Like whose
yeah,
turn is to read, they will repeat. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for
Thank
bringing
you,
this up,
thank
Mataji.
you,
Yeah.
Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So if we don't have any questions, then we can end the session here and see you again in the next session. And please stick around. I think I have a lot of hopes from the people who are attending these sessions regularly. Towards the end, today, by the end of the day today, or maybe tomorrow, I'll try to share the attendance also. Okay, and I think yeah, these are the consistent folks who have been coming so far. So, and I just want all of you to go all the way. Okay, please don't give up in between. Okay, because it's a golden opportunity to read together in the association of devotees. It's very very auspicious and very very potent actually to do that. So please don't give up in between. Certifications and all those things are secondary things, like they will come automatically once you are serious on the path of bhakti, on the path of Krishna consciousness. Okay. But important thing is to read the scriptures, to have the knowledge of scriptures. Yes, Vasavi Mataji is raising her hand. Yeah, Mataji, please go ahead.
Prabhuji, I have a doubt.
Yes, Mataji, please go ahead.
Duryodhana was also there in association with Krishna, right? But he was not influenced by Krishna. Why is it?
Yes.
Was it meant to be like that?
Yes, so the answer is both yes and no. Yes, because obviously, like, it's all, like Krishna's Maya energy only is playing around, basically, right? So, in a way, we can say that, okay, it was meant to be like that. But then it is also not fully correct, because everything is not controlled by Krishna. Okay, Krishna is a very gentleman. Like, as we have seen that it was we who actually decided to enjoy separately from Krishna. Okay, we said that okay, we want to live an independent life. We don't want your association, Krishna, and saying that we demanded for a place, and Krishna was kind enough to create this material world for us. Okay, so and after that, Krishna doesn't interfere in the free will of the living entity. Okay, that free will is there with us, and then we have to make a choice. What to do, what not to do. Okay, what is right, what is wrong, whether we choose Krishna or whether we choose Maya at every stage, right? So Duryodhan was actually blind, just as it is mentioned in the purport of Srila Prabhupada, just like Dhritarashtra, all his sons were also blind towards religion, actually. Okay, so they were not religious people, they were not following the path of dharma. They chose not to follow the path of dharma, right? In spite of Krishna being there. And see, so many things they had already tried. I mean, it's not that, this battle of Kurukshetra was about to happen right from the day one. Okay. Before that, right from the childhood, Duryodhan tried to kill Bhima by giving him poison, okay, in a cake. So we all know that story, okay, and that is how Bhim got his superhuman strength, okay, of what's 10,000 elephants, right? So that was one incident. Then when they were invited, Kauravas they created a Lakshagriha, right, a highly inflammable palace, basically made of very inflammable material, and they invited Pandavas to stay in that palace, and then they set fire on that palace. Okay, they tried to kill them. Okay, then they challenged them to the game of dice, and then they had actually the dice was tampered one, and they defeated Pandavas there, and we all know these stories. Okay, so many adharmas they have created, they actually committed on the path towards this battlefield. And not only that, like once Pandavas they returned from the Agyatwas actually, and then they said that okay, now you give us our own the kingdom, the Indraprastha. Duryodhan said, no, I am not going to give you the Indraprastha now. That was his mindset. So still then Pandavas were ready to compromise. Okay, they sent Krishna as the Shanti Dut, and then Krishna said that okay, since Pandavas are Kshatriyas, they need something to rule. Okay, I mean Kshatriyas just cannot stay like this. Okay, so they need something to rule. So if you don't want to give Indraprastha, okay, fine, keep Indraprastha with you, but at least give them 5 villages to rule upon. They will be satisfied with that. To this, Duryodhan said that forget about 5 villages. I will not even give a land which is of the size of the tip of a needle to Pandavas. So at that time, and not only that, he also humiliated Krishna and tried to bind him and tried to get him arrested. Okay. So obviously he was not seeing that divine qualities of Krishna. He didn't knew that, he was the supreme personality of Godhead. Because to see that, to have that vision, like you have to be a very pure person from your heart. Okay, only then Krishna will reveal yourself to you, and we'll read in this Bhagavad Gita, right? That Krishna is saying that for most of the people, I am just covered by the Maya Shakti. only those who are very pure people, who have a pure heart, they will be able to know me as I am, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in that also he showed not the Virat root, he showed some other, celestial form. And that form was visible only to Bhima and Kripacharya, right? Sorry, Bhishma and Kripacharya, right? When Duryodhana was trying to arrest Krishna, okay, at that time. So why? Because these two people were pious in their hearts. Others were, they were just blinded by the light and effulgence which was coming out of the body of Krishna. Okay. So yes, Krishna doesn't interfere in the free will of the living entity. So it is not that everything is decided or pre-decided. Okay, we are basically brought to some of the junction points, and at that junction point, you have to make a choice. That is where your free will comes into picture, and you can choose either the path of righteousness or religiousness, or you can choose the path of dharma, and that will determine your future karma. This is how it goes. So this is the reason why Duryodhan was not able to identify Krishna, because he was too much, lusty, very just wanted to get everything that belonged to Pandavas. He was greedy, he was lusty, and yeah, that is the main reason why. Did I answer your question, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu.
But yes, our intention should be that, okay, we should not keep Krishna away from us. Okay, like Krishna actually maintains a safe distance from each and every spirit soul who is in this material world. Okay, like he is basically witnessing all our actions, but he will not interfere until and unless you ask him to do so. Okay, so the, we should not be like Duryodhana or like any other people for that matter. Okay, we should just surrender to him and say that, okay, Krishna, from now on, I am yours and you are mine. Just take charge of my life, do whatever you want. Okay. So then and then only, Krishna will actually start, helping you. We'll see in the second chapter also, like, when the conversation between Arjun and Arjun and Krishna starts. Initially, they were talking as friends. Krishna was actually, kind of talking in a very humorous way. Just when two friends converse with each other, how do they do, right? So in that mood, he was talking with Arjun, and he continued to do that, till the time Arjun surrendered to him. Once Arjun surrendered, saying that, okay, now from now this moment on, you are my spiritual master, and I am a soul surrendered unto you. I am your disciple. So now tell me what to do. Okay, what is the right thing for me? And that was the point from where Krishna started speaking the Bhagavad Gita. So until and unless we surrender to Krishna, it's not possible. And what is the easiest way to surrender in this age of Kali Yuga is to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So please start chanting. Like if you are not doing, but I am pretty sure you all must be doing it already. So just at least 2 to 4 rounds, all of you should chant, and yeah, just stick to this process and attend sessions like these. We'll read Bhagavad Gita together. We'll try to understand, and yeah, we'll make it more interesting. And yes, this is the most auspicious thing that we can do in this age of Kali Yuga, right? Okay. So with that, I'll like to end the session now, and